Welcome to the Random-esque Podcast with your hosts, Dr. Paul Banks and Jim Mooney. And remember, always stay random-esque.
What's up, randomies? Welcome to the Random-esque Podcast, where we say, always stay random-esque. Hey, we're your hosts, Jim and Paul. And hey, Paul, guess what?
We're in the wild today, and we're not at your house doing this.
Yeah, we are in the wild. We're out in the wild. We are at Union Catholic High School in Scotch Plains, New Jersey. This is actually right around the corner from my shop. And this is part of Union County as well. So really beautiful school, incredible facility. I think a little bit nicer than the Catholic high school I went to in Philly, but that was okay too. So anyway, and today we have a very special edition of the Random-esque Podcast. We are going to discuss grieving. I have to say, this episode is especially, it hits home for me personally, and Paulie too, because he was there as well. But my father just passed away a few weeks ago on November 7th.
I was so glad we got to do that podcast with them.
We did a pop cast, we called it, with my dad. So we had my dad on at his request about a month and a half ago. But I'm so glad that we have that.
We could listen to it.
For posterity, right? It's incredible. So we had the ceremony, the celebration of his life on Friday. And I dealt with grieving in that way, in the way that my father wanted my sister and I to celebrate his life. As a result of the happenings last week, we also had to reschedule our conversation with comedian Mike Marino, so we're going to be scheduling that out in the future. More to come on that. So let's get into the show. So we have 3 topics of conversation today. First, we're going to talk with Jennifer Dixon, and she is the Director of School Counseling here at Union Catholic. Next is Lindsay Schambach. Make sure I didn't mess that up. And she's the Executive Director of a great organization here in Union County called Imagine. And finally, we will meet with a student here at Union Catholic as well. We want to thank Union Catholic for hosting us today. And on with the shoe. So we're here at Union Catholic Regional High School, and we're talking about how do you grieve. I want to give a little bit of a background on Union Catholic, and Paul just let us know he was established in 1962 as well. Wow.
School looks better than I do.
Were you established in Scotch Plains? I don't think so.
Not quite.
No. Oxford Circle?
Oxford Circle.
Northeast Philly.
Yep.
I think you have to get closer to the microphone.
Yes, that's correct.
Anyway, it was Union Catholic Regional High School was established in 1962 in Scotch Plains, New Jersey, as a co-educational institution committed to academic excellence and the holistic development of its students. The school offers a personalized curriculum across 6 learning levels, catering to diverse student needs, emphasizing core values such as respect, responsibility, honesty, compassion, and community. Union Catholic prepares students for success in the real, spiritual, and virtual realms. The institution boasts a robust athletic program. Yes, it does. Some Olympians, right? Amazing. And a variety of extracurricular activities and a strong commitment to faith-based education. Now, Dr. Jennifer Dixon, she is the Director of School Counseling here at Union Catholic. She also coordinates the Success Program and the Freshman Foundation Program, focusing on supporting students' academic and personal development. Dr. Dixon is dedicated to fostering a supportive environment that addresses the diverse needs of students, guiding them towards success during their high school years and beyond. And we're going to get into how do you grieve. So let's jump into the first topic of conversation. So, what role do you see grief education playing within the overall educational curriculum here at Union Catholic?
So it's important for us to create an environment where our core values are really established. And so, through religion class, it's part of the official curriculum, but we really look at holistically looking at our curriculum as encompassing compassion for students and really understanding that each one of us is going through something different, and how do we help each other? How do we journey together?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Like, the compassion part is a big part of it, right? I mean, that's what it's all about, because, we're all going through something, individually, and we should just have compassion for each other. So I think Paulie's got a question for you over there.
Yeah, how do you currently address grief and loss among the students, and what resources do you have that are available?
So it's quite timely that you're here. This week, tomorrow is actually Children's Grief Awareness Day. And so we choose this week every year for the last 10 years to bring Imagine, which you're going to hear Lindsay talk about in a little while. We bring Imagine in, and we have them speak to our freshman and junior religion classes each year. So twice officially, students get an official presentation about grief, how we can support each other, and really how can we be, I'm going to steal it from Imagine, a good morning community here at Union Catholic. So we really are pushing that into our classes, and then we do different activities, which we'll talk about in a little
So
bit.
you incorporate that into your daily learning?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I know that you've been doing this for several years, and in fact, this is the standard across New Jersey, or they're using this as a model school. So how what would you see that is effective for a grief education program in a high school setting? How are you working with other schools in the state of New Jersey on this?
So you'll hear from Mmesoma, one of our student peer mentors, in a little while. But really, what we're doing is we're really kind of bringing our peer mentors to Imagine each year. We're training them in what it means to be a peer mentor, how to talk to other students, how to share their story, to normalize grief. And so what we're really trying to do is to again allow students to see that this is something it's okay to talk about,
Okay.
that it doesn't have to be hidden, it doesn't have to be something that they have to grieve alone. And so we're really using students who have been trained to be models for other students to hear their stories in the
Nice.
classrooms, so that each student knows that their story is important and your grief isn't any more important than my grief. So maybe I've lost a pet, or I've had a sports injury, or I've lost a parent, but we're all grieving, and we all need to kind of be there for
And
each
so
other.
it's like peer-to-peer learning, essentially, which is great. It's coming from each other, where they're learning from each other.
And I'm guessing you have a lot of students that internalize it, and it's more of an effort to get them out of it. And that was my next question: is what are the challenges that the staff and you and anyone involved in how can they provide effective support, or the counselors as well, being the fact that you do have, everyone's got a different personality, everyone deals with grief, everyone deals with a lot of things differently. How do you people in the staff and everybody here deal with that?
So it's recognizing that everyone's coming into the classroom, right? We have 20 students in a class. Everybody's coming in with something going on. And so it's recognizing, this student seems a little off today. I think our teachers do a phenomenal job of recognizing each student's individual, personality and what's going on with them. And so, our teachers really want to connect with students. And so, it's not uncommon for a teacher to reach out to a counselor to say, such student looks like they might be struggling today, or, they might pull a student aside and say, what's going on today? And I think students also feel comfortable, whether it's going to a counselor or a student saying, listen, I wasn't able to get this done. I'm really struggling. Can I have an extra day or two? And again, it's that compassion, bringing that into it, that it's okay to say I'm not okay.
And do you ever bring the parents in to it?
Yeah, this actually, our kind of relationship with Imagine came, again, 10, 11 years ago. We had a parent who lost her husband. She had 3 young boys. And she said, my boys are with you every day. You're my community. What can you do? What can you offer? And she actually helped bring Imagine to Union Catholic to say, like, I really think you guys need to do this training, need to be incorporated with them because we as families need support. And so that's one of the things when, unfortunately, we've had several students who have lost parents. And so to be able to reach out to parents and students and say, listen, we have this great resource of Imagine. We have these resources internally here. Please let us know what you need. These are just
very difficult, I'm sure, for students to lose parents at such a young age. It's very difficult. I mean, I'm going through this, with my father, but I'm 58 years old, and so it's a little different.
And we just had a high school student in Westfield.
Yeah, a high school student in Westfield. Yeah.
And that's that. Losing a parent, losing a brother, losing a sister, losing a friend. I mean, it's difficult.
Yeah, it really is. So, why do you think there has been increased discussion around grief education recently, and what do you think this shift says about understanding a student's emotional well-being?
So statistics tell us that 1 in 12 students will lose a parent by age 18.
Wow,
And
I didn't know that.
That's
Wow.
yeah.
My father did. He was 18 when his father passed away. But
I was 6.
I didn't know that was such a stat.
I was 6 when my dad passed away.
Yeah.
You should.
So
That's okay. I was 6 when my dad
Okay,
passed away.
sorry.
That's okay.
I didn't mean to make you repeat it. I'm sorry.
that statistic actually doubles by 25. And, when we look at the age of 25, we look at students who are going through college who might not have support, any longer. So to be able to provide, grief education at a young age, we're unfortunately preparing students, to lose, to grieve. 25% of students are grieving at any point in time. So as I had mentioned earlier, divorce, a sports injury, we've had students talk about parents with addiction issues. So there's a grieving that comes. Loss of a friendship in high school, loss of a pet is often the first loss that a student has. And when that's, something they've had with them their entire lives, it's just as important as losing potentially a sibling.
Sure.
So,
yeah, and it's great that this is going on today, that people are sharing their feelings and emotions, because, in our world growing up, it wasn't like that.
It was different. It was
just
definitely
very
different.
And I went to a Catholic high school as well, which was great. I loved the school, but it certainly wasn't to this level which is great, that what you guys are doing here at Union Catholic. I love it. And can you, the stories, can you share any stories or insights about how grief support has positively impacted a student's school experience?
Absolutely. So, when Imagine first came with this peer mentor idea, I looked at them and I said, you're crazy. There's no way students are going to want to stand up in front of their peers and share their story. But I've seen firsthand students who have lost parents, and they go through the training, and at first they might stand up in front of a classroom, or might need to sit down, or might not just observe the Imagine trainers at first. And slowly over the course of the week, we often do, I think this week we have about 16 presentations going on total.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so our peer mentors are in religion classes.
As part of the school, or over at Imagine?
Here at Union Catholic.
Oh, wow.
So they're back in tomorrow. We had them in all day Monday and Tuesday. And so students will often, share their story the first time, kind of, with some trepidation. And by the end of the week, they've kind of processed as they've told their story. And so I've seen firsthand how students who couldn't talk about their loss have now taken on this kind of leadership role of being able to share their story, really being able to feel the empathy of the students in the class. You can hear a pin drop when students tell their story. And so it kind of becomes okay to tell it. And then when we end those presentations, we survey students and say, do you feel like it's effective? What was what do you think grief education should be offered in schools? Would you consider becoming a peer mentor? And that's how the program exists each year, is that students hear their peers being really, really vulnerable. And somehow in that experience, other students say, you know what, I think I can do that too. And so it becomes something that flows each year because of the vulnerability of our students and their willingness to share their stories.
What are your strategies involving incorporating the parents in this? And do you get, I'm sure at some point you some cases, should I say, you get resistance from the students, or do you not?
No, really, there's no resistance for students who may have a very fresh loss. There is an opt-out form, so if students don't feel comfortable, there's always an opportunity to kind of remove themselves. And parents get a whole letter from me. I've spoken to many parents, like, I'm not sure if my student will be able to stay in the class, and so we'll give them a pass, or we'll allow them to come to school counseling if they're not quite ready to process that. But really, the conversation, this was the first year that I had so many parents reach out and say, thank you so much for doing this in school. This is a really tough topic. Nobody learns about this in school. It's, bringing it in, and the governor actually signed into law last January that grief education is required in grades 8 through 12 in the state of New Jersey. So I think Imagine's picked up a lot of that, schools saying, what do we do? So we're here to just kind of help, spread information and be a model, for other schools.
My also a little follow-up to that is, do you ever have a situation where the parents take the initiative and call you and say something's going on? Or, from your end, I know you recognize it in a student, but you get a parent that will call and say something's not right, as opposed to going to private counseling. Do they go to you?
Absolutely. Schools are the first line. Often, we spend more time with students than sometimes parents do. And so, that's something we do at freshman orientation every year with the parents. We tell them, if something's going on, let us know. We can send an email out to teachers to just say, listen, can't share all the information, but the student's going through a really tough time. If you could please just kind of give them some grace. And every teacher will respond, thank you so much for letting me know. Absolutely. And so we really try to create a two-way communication with students, families, and
I also think kids, to make a comparison, whether, I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but kids seem to grow up a little faster than they did when we were growing up.
Yeah.
And a lot thrown on their plate.
They do have there is a lot. Yeah, no doubt about it. This has been an unbelievable conversation.
Yeah, thank you.
Really, really appreciate your time here today. And you've been such a wonderful guest. You get a show candle.
Thank you.
Random-esque candle from the show. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dr. Jennifer Dixon, thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we are back. Wow, what a great conversation with Dr. Jennifer Dixon here at Union Catholic. Fantastic.
She's fantastic.
And now we are going to meet with Lindsay Schambach from Executive Director of Imagine. I'm just going to give a little bit of background on Imagine and then some background on Lindsay Schambach. Imagine is a grief support center based in Mountainside, New Jersey, dedicated to assisting children, young adults, and families coping with the death of a parent, sibling, or child. The organization offers free year-round peer grief support groups, serving over 300 participants from 55 towns every 2 weeks. Wow. Imagine provides training and education to schools and workplaces to create grief-informed communities, ensuring that no child grieves alone. And that sounds terrific. I love hearing that.
Thanks.
And I've been to their organization, to their facility. It's incredible, really incredible. And a little on Lindsay Schambach.
You said it right. You got it.
She serves as the executive director of Imagine, a center for coping with loss. Her career began in Newark, New Jersey, where she taught at the Martin Luther King Jr. School and Newton. Is it Newton or Newtown?
Newton.
Newton Street School. She held various leadership roles with Teach for America, and later joined KIPP NJ and Miami, founding KIPP Thrive Academy and serving as school leader of KIPP Newark Collegiate Academy. Lindsay earned a bachelor's degree in psychology from Loyola. Oh, another Jesuit facility. Paul and I went to Jesuit universities in Maryland. And a master's in public administration with a focus on educational leadership from Rutgers University, Newark. Her personal experiences with loss, including the death of her husband, Michael Paul Schambach, drive her commitment to ensuring that no child grieves alone, and I love hearing that. So with that, we're going to jump right into the conversation.
What Jesuit school did you
I went to St. Joe's.
That was Jesuit?
That's Jesuit.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. And he went to Georgetown Dental School.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
We're all Jesuit peeps here.
I was a minority there.
Yeah, that's okay. We accept you.
I was just going to be a dentist, that's all.
Yeah, and you're a good one.
Well,
You're
thank
a great
you.
one.
Thank you.
Because you make smiles for miles. So can you tell us a little about what inspired the founding of Imagine and how its mission has evolved over the years?
Sure. I feel so lucky always to carry on the tradition of Imagine. Imagine was founded by Mary Robinson, and Mary, as a young person, experienced the death of her father, and it had always been something that she carried with her. She watched her mother raise herself and her brother, and then as an adult found that grief was a huge part of her life. And so there's this wonderful philanthropist in our area named Dr. Jerry Glasser, and Dr. Jerry Glasser had the unfortunate experience of having his son pass away in 9/11.
Oh, wow.
Dr. Jerry Glasser's son, Tom, left behind 2 young children, 2 and 4 years old. And so Dr. Glasser was very then aware and worried about what happens to our children when their parents pass on. And so the fortunate occurrence was that Mary Robinson and Dr. Glasser met each other. And then they met another gentleman named Keith Hertel, who lives in this area. He's
Know
a
Keith
Westfield
very well.
resident.
He's awesome. We interviewed the maestro from the New
Yeah.
Jersey Festival Orchestra.
Yeah, David Rowe.
Yeah,
Great-
David Rowe. In fact, I
Yeah.
just saw him the other day.
I did too, crossing
said
Broad.
hi.
I saw him crossing East Broad.
Well, they've all been
No, we know.
partners
I
of
know
Imagine.
Keith for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, and Mr. Hertel, Keith Hertel, experienced the passing of his son at a
Yes.
young age. At 25 years old, he died in a car
Unfortunately, yes.
accident. And so these people were brought together through their shared experiences of grief and realizing that adults have a responsibility to do something for the children in our lives. And so Imagine was born in 2011 in a church here in Westfield. We were upstairs on the attic, and I just got to go visit it the other day and
Oh,
realized,
really?
like,
Oh, it wasn't where you are in Mountainside.
no,
Oh, wow.
we were born in the First United Methodist Church.
Oh, cool. I didn't
And-
realize that.
It started with a class of 12 volunteers who trained to become what we call grief facilitators. And the first Nights of Support, which is our program, began there. And in 2017, we were lucky enough with all the support in this community to raise enough money to lease a space of our own. And so we moved to Mountainside.
It's a very nice, beautiful, large facility over there.
Yeah, in Mountainside, if you've never been, we have 11,000 square feet with special rooms that are designed for each age group of children. And the beauty of a space like that is it ensures that children really feel like their loss matters. Like this entire building is there just for children who've experienced loss.
And it's really cool because each room is themed, in a different theme, and depending on the age of the people that are grieving, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
what-
really cool.
What I think too is they realize that they're not the only ones, and that being in that
That's the power.
situation, yeah.
That's the power of it. And in 2019, Imagine expanded its services to support the city of Newark. And so we grew from one tiny night of support, and right now we're serving 600 children.
Wow.
And families every other week at our centers. And so just in January, we leased a space to serve the city of Newark so that families don't have to travel as far to come to us. And families travel from 85 different towns. And so when we were founded, we always said the mission of Imagine is to ensure that no child grieves alone. And then I joined Imagine in 2019. 2018.
So that's when I started my business, 2018.
Yeah,
so you've been there 7 years or six and a half years.
Well, in 2018, I went to Imagine after the death of my husband.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, sorry.
Very sorry.
He was a lacrosse coach here in the state of New Jersey. He coached at Montclair State. He coached like many young people in high school. He ran camps. And when he passed, he was 38 years old, and I had a 4-year-old son and a 4-week-old daughter.
Oh, wow.
And so I went to
That is really
Imagine.
tough.
It was I'm a grown adult who was grieving, and this is probably one of the most significant losses adults can go through, especially like all the other conditions that we had. But what I just always think about is like, I had all these losses prior to the loss of my husband. My father passed away when I was 21. My grandfather passed away when I was 13. And so like I was an adult, and it was still horrible. And Imagine was there for me in 2018 and 2019. And then about 2 years later, I was lucky enough to become the executive director. So I've been here since 2021, leading the organization, and I've been so in awe of the work of Union Catholic. I got to learn about it.
Absolutely.
And the students here, I think the model here at Union Catholic is one of the best in the state. So if you can just give yourselves a round of applause.
Give yourselves a round of applause. We have the students here, so thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
I have to say that the work that's being done at Union Catholic is the impetus for all of the change that we're seeing in the state, knowing that a school can embody a grief-informed model.
Oh, we got to go.
And the bells.
Now, is Union Catholic the pioneer of all this?
I would say that Union Catholic is one of our first partners, and I would say that they're the school that has fully adopted it. Dr. Dixon carries this work on every single year in a way that I think most schools aspire to be like.
And if I may, my wife is a hospice palliative care physician, so she deals with
unbelievable the work she
does. My wife deals with grief every day with people that have terminal diseases, and she meets with the families, and it's not an easy thing to deal with. And
having just been through it with my father, because he went into the tail end of his life, was in a hospice type situation, and I thanked Audrey the other day, Paul's wife, at the funeral for the work that she does in that world. I don't know how people can work in a hospice. It's just unbelievable. I went through the same thing with my mother, so.
I remember hospice well.
Yeah.
And, hospice is very different at different stages of life. I went through it with my father at 51 with a brain tumor.
Wow, 51. Oh, wow.
And then my husband at 38.
Oh, wow.
And
my mom was brain cancer as well.
Yeah.
It's just so sad, right?
And the power of things like Imagine and what Union Catholic is doing is like, on a normal day, we don't talk about stuff like this, but to find other people that you can share commonalities of that experience, like to be able to talk about what hospice was like in your home, or as Jennifer shared, 1 out of 12, 1 out of 13 children will watch their parent pass away or a sibling before they turn 18. To find another child, another young person who has gone through that experience just opens up this world of like, I can talk about this horrible thing with someone else who understands it. There's like such a difference of talking to people who get it versus people who've never walked in your shoes.
And with that, can you describe a peer grief support model and its benefits to the participants?
Yeah. Imagine runs what we call a free peer-to-peer grief support program. So it's not therapy, it's not counseling. And the reason it's not that is that grief is natural and normal. It's not a pathology. It's not a disease. You don't have a disorder when you're grieving. And so while you might decide to go to counseling.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're fine.
I feel good. We celebrated my dad's life, then that's the way we grieve. So
yeah. And everybody grieves differently. Dr. Dixon mentioned that before. And so at Imagine, what we do on a night of support is that we first start just with a meal together, like just normal being in community with each other. Then we do something that we call opening circle, where we just normalize sharing our name and the name of the person who died.
Okay.
And in that room, you have children as young as 3 years old.
Oh my God, wow.
One of our participants recently said that the first time she cried since the death of her husband was in opening circle. And she said because she hadn't said out loud, my husband died.
She didn't have the outlet.
Yeah, there was nowhere.
Wow, that's unbelievable. And then in front of a group, right? And to feel that's cool.
Yeah.
It's great.
And it helps children and adults like integrate this new aspect of their identity into who they are, and to learn to do it without shame, right? Like I remember my son being in group, and like the first week he was like, I'm Cameron and her husband died, you know, and he pointed to me. And then the next week it was like, I'm Cameron and my dad died, right? And that's like learning
I think
these bells. I love high school.
I feel like I should be changing classes right now.
I also think that when you're grieving, it puts a lot in perspective. And if I say to all of you, you may have a bad day, you may have a boyfriend or girlfriend break up with you, or you may have a bad day, get a bad grade in a test or whatever. You know, a lot of this stuff will put that in perspective, but it's really not that, in the grand scheme of things, it's really not that important. And I mean, I'm a 12-year cancer survivor. So, you know, there are times when I, had some thoughts that, I wasn't going to,
Make it.
Get through all this. But, you got to have perspective. Things happen, horrible things happen, but your life goes on, and you just have to, sometimes it's difficult, but for all you just have to push through it, because it'll get brighter again. It really it will.
And this is how Paul and I deal with Paul, with what he's going through. We wanted to do this as part of it, so that.
Yeah, I've been through.
He's been through a lot.
I've been through radiation. I've been through immunotherapy. I've been through chemotherapy. I mean, it's happily it had a good ending, but there are a lot of people that don't. But I was grieving myself.
Yes.
Not knowing, if I was going to get through this. So it's just focus on good things. They will happen. That's my.
I love that message. That's very nice. Wow.
One of the things that we say at Imagine.
You sound awesome.
I
love that.
We say like that there's this thing called like grief Olympics, where like we compare our grief to other people and like, oh, well, they have it worse. But the truth is like everybody's experiencing their own grief in whatever way it is. And, while what you're going through may be different than what somebody else is going through, like Dr. Dixon said, it's no less important. And our society is so grief averse that we don't talk about it. We tell kids like, you'll get over it. We promise there'll be brighter days. But in that breakup with a boyfriend or a girlfriend, you might feel like, I'm never going to get through this.
Right, yeah. It's just like your world just ended kind of thing. But it really is okay.
And then you realize eventually you do, or not getting into the college that you want to get into. Like, that can be devastating.
That is.
Right?
Yeah, right.
You think
After all the work you've put in and even filling out the applications and all, right?
Right.
It's a lot of work these guys have in front of them.
And the parents do as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I had mentioned earlier to the students that I'm a father of triplet boys.
Nice.
So
Yes, 3 of them.
So when we were filling out college applications, that was tough.
Yeah. Well, I have 4 bereaved children in my household. So my partner's wife passed away when she was 38. Wow. So I have a junior who used to live here in Scotch Plains and now lives out in Bridgewater. So 16, 13, 10, and 6. So I will be filling out college applications for many years.
Yes,
so
you will.
Any tips you all have, you can send my way.
That's fun. That's the fun part of it. So just to wrap it up here, how do people get in touch with you at Imagine?
I'll share that our groups are run by volunteers. And so if you're ever interested in thinking about supporting grieving children and their parents, we would love to have you. Our website is imaginenj.org. We have social media pages. Our newsletter gives lots of information. You can sign up for our newsletter online at our website. And we welcome you. We've got webinars that we do each month to talk about grief and loss. We're working on the grief curriculum for the state of New Jersey. We do grief-informed schools training, work training, and our team is always here.
And one more thing I just thought of. What is the and I know it differs, but do you have the difference between grief and then acceptance of it? Is there it's variable, but does that, is there years? I mean, I know for me, it's sometimes you don't grieve anymore, but you don't forget.
Yeah, you never forget. We say that like people think grief has a timeline and that at some stage you'll get over it. You don't. You integrate it into who you are, and you'll grieve whether you were 50 years ago when you lost my son was talking about it was 10 years ago that he lost his mother. It's been 20 years that I lost my father. And you re-grieve, because I'm watching my father wishing he could watch me today, and it would be so cool if he was here. And that we just need as a society to like normalize the fact that we'll always miss them.
Yeah.
They're always going to be someone that we're grieving. Our grief might feel less intense, but it's normal at a certain point to have it feel as intense as it did, because that loss is still real.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the funeral of my father brought up a lot of, memories of my mother. So, it stirred a lot of emotion in that.
Yeah.
And one thing I was thinking, the way that I kind of deal with grieving in both of my parents' situation is, I wrote the eulogy and I gave the eulogy, and that's a big.
Your eulogy for your dad was probably one of the best eulogies I've ever heard.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Anyone quoting a bird song and then going into as a segue into it, it was really. But how you but how you did it was great.
Yeah,
it's a therapeutic process.
It is, and it's like it's my gig. It's what I do. I am a public speaker,
and it's why these programs for our kids, we provide them the opportunity to also talk about it. They don't always get to write the eulogy or plan the funeral or do any of that.
Right.
But involving our children, telling them the truth.
But doing that is a part of the process.
It's part of the process.
So with that, Polly, can you hand over that beautiful show candle to our wonderful guest,
Also,
Lindsay Schambach?
Thank you.
And it is, and we didn't let you know.
Yes.
It is Lucky Clover.
Lucky Clover.
Ooh,
that is the show's
Irish.
scent.
There we go. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You were
My
awesome. Thanks so
pleasure.
much.
Thanks.
Oh, wow. And what a great conversation with both Dr. Dixon and with Lindsay Schambach. Schambach, yes. I got that right. Of Imagine.
You're very proud of yourself that you got that right.
ImagineNJ.org, right? ImagineNJ.org. Yes. That's how you can get in touch with them. And we are here now with a student, a junior from Union Catholic, and I'm going to have her introduce herself.
I'm Mmesoma Ogbonnia-Okoye. Like he said, I am a junior at Union Catholic. I am trying to major in nursing for mental health.
Oh, wow. Nice.
And
my sister's a nurse.
Yeah.
She went to Villanova. I call it Villanowhere, but
That's nice.
Villanova.
I'm also trying to maintain my grades for school to get into the colleges I want to go to.
What schools are you thinking about?
I'm thinking about Rutgers, New Brunswick, and
Nice.
I think William Patterson as well.
William Patterson, so both here in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to go into nursing?
Mm-hmm.
Any particular segment or just general nursing or?
Honestly, I'm still trying to figure out.
You're still trying to figure it out, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my sister, she's a nurse. Like I said, she went to Villanova.
Mm-hmm.
We don't talk about that because I went to St. Joe's, but whatever. It's okay. No, I'm only kidding.
That's for you don't know. That's a big Philadelphia rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
And you've told us a little bit about your higher aspirations. What else do you want? What else do you want to do in life with this fantastic Union Catholic education?
I don't know. I think maybe in the future, maybe after nursing, if I even want to pursue being a doctor, I'll be a doctor or something.
You want to be a doctor? Well, you could talk to the doctor right here. He's a dentist.
Oh, how is doctors? How is doctoring?
Paul, how's doctoring?
I get down in the mouth sometimes.
Wow. Yikes. Bad dad jokes always flying.
No,
around here.
I tell you, seriously, I don't consider it work. Mm-hmm. I love doing what I do. Mm-hmm. So it's not a job for me.
And Paul's working on a movie called The Molar Express.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Mm-hmm.
Where a dentist takes teeth out on a train.
Mm-hmm.
He's joking.
Going to the North Pole. Come on, don't you think that'd be fun? You play off of Polar Express, have the Molar Express.
I was just about to say.
Well, with the Molar Express, do we take different routes?
Oh, wow. Do you see how bad the bad dad jokes are around here? So, why did you choose to become a peer mentor?
I choose to become a peer mentor to help those who are going through grief, any type of grief, honestly. And I just want to be like a support system for them. Because for me, like when I was in middle school, my first middle school, I went through like bullying a lot. So that's why I switched schools, because my sister was the one who told my mom, and that's why I was able to switch schools. So
Good
I feel
sister.
like
That's a great sister.
So I feel
We all
like
should have great sisters like that. Like Paul and I do,
yeah.
too.
So I feel like I just want to be that person to be there for people, just like, you know, because you never know, like when it's like when somebody really needs you at the moment, or you never know when it's going to be too late to be like be there for someone. Like you just don't want to feel like, oh, what more could you have done to like protect this person?
Sure.
Yeah.
How was the peer training at Imagine?
I really enjoyed the peer mentor training at Imagine, because especially when we do like the trips and we go to the center itself, we come together as a group to share our experiences, and everybody there is really nice. We have a thing where like we don't, like whatever is said there, it stays there. So, and everybody there really just sticks to it. So I feel like if you really want to be in a place where you're safe and like your privacy is protected, you should definitely go to like the peer mentor training.
And, you know, what has your classroom experience been like?
My classroom experience, I would say, is definitely nerve-wracking, because like I'm definitely sharing like my stories to like my actual classmates and not like to people I don't know.
Sure. Yeah. That's tough.
Yeah, but I would say
Paul doesn't share anything with me, so.
Yeah, so like this year I did share my own story this year. So I would say like sharing my story for the first time in class this year was definitely like, it felt nice to say it out loud like after it was done. At first I was like literally sweating like bullets throughout, but I was like, you know, I'm glad I said it like finally, and like just to get it over with and stuff, show people that like I'm there for them. So
Yeah, it's probably just getting through that first time saying it, right? When you say it, when you actually say it out loud. A lot of times what I do is I practice saying it, you know.
yeah, I don't practice.
You don't practice?
No.
Oh, okay. Either does Allen Iverson. He doesn't practice either.
I think they're too young to appreciate
Yeah, they
that.
probably won't get that. Practice.
Do you think this education should be offered in, and I think I know the answers, but I want to hear from you, it should be offered
For sure.
in every school?
Yeah, I definitely think it should be offered in all schools, because, like I said, you never know when somebody's going through something. Like one girl from the peer mentor training thing, she said like, oh, there might be like tomorrow for you, but you never know like when it's somebody's last day being like with somebody and how the next day is for them. So I would say like it definitely leaves you to think and be like, oh yeah, like you definitely need to treat other people with kindness. That is into saying like you never know, like you don't know everybody's background, so never judge a person for how they are. But at the same time, if that person is like, say if they're bullying you, you never know, they can be bullying you because of their own experiences, their own things they're going through. So at the same time, don't invalidate yourself because they're doing that. But I would also say like you definitely can see where they're coming from as to why they act like this. So I would say it definitely gives you a open mind to being like, oh yeah, like maybe this person really needs somebody there for them, and maybe this person can have like extra.
Yeah, a lot of it could be coming from what they have going on at home, or you know, it's tough. I mean, and again, I think that with the bullying, when I was in high school and high school and college, we didn't have bullying. It was different. It really was different. I think for the good.
Yeah, no, I guess there really wasn't. Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I hadn't really thought about it, but yeah, it wasn't that way. Yeah.
For the good, I mean, social media, for better or worse, is I think going to factor in that. As a factor in anything.
Yeah, I mean, geez, that really adds a whole other level to growing up in a media world.
For us,
we didn't have. I mean, we had 4 channels on TV, basically.
Yeah, and how we handled it. Not that it's saying it's right, but if someone tried to bully you or make fun of you, people settled it after school fight. I had a fight. They said, I'm going to meet you after school. And you had a fight. And that,
Or we took it out on the, on the back, the back of school, pretty much. I didn't actually. I never really got into fights, actually.
No, I didn't either. I was talked my way out of it.
Yeah, I was talking my way out of it. I really never really got into fights, so.
I got a lot with my sisters.
Well, the other side is when I graduated high school, I was only 140 pounds, so it's like, who was I going to fight? Obviously, I've grown quite a lot since then.
and wiser and
wiser,
more
yeah.
sophisticated and handsome and all that stuff.
We hope. God, we hope. No, it's great. Life is great.
Yeah.
I love that you do this, and I guess
Yeah.
Is it one-to-one mentoring? Is it with a group or?
I do want to do like on one-on-one with like another person, but for now we are doing it like in a group. Like we do, like I said, the trips, you go there, you share experiences with other people. I think maybe like a week later, 2 weeks later, you do the presentations with like some people from the group you present in the class. And I feel like at the same time, when you're doing group presentations, obviously it's not easy to do it. Even me myself, like I get very like nervous doing presentations. So I feel like having other people in the peer mentor training with you as well, it's just like, oh, okay, like this person's here as well. So like they know my story, they understood it too. So like why not just like say it anyway? Like.
No, you had mentioned you wanted to be a nurse, but you were thinking after that maybe being a doctor.
Probably.
Did you ever think of maybe going into psychiatry?
Yeah, psychiatry. I honestly don't know, because there's so many fields like in mental health that I want to like pursue, but it's like I'm not sure.
You can go to psychology, go to social work. I mean, there are just so many things that you can do, and I think wherever your heart takes you, that's the right place for you to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I knew at 5 years old I was going to go into advertising. That's what I did. I went into marketing and advertising.
Well, funny story. And this is when you said what you know what to do.
Even though I'm doing this, I'm really a marketing advertising guy. So.
It's a true story. One of my sons, he would walk around the house with a cup, and he would turn the TV off, and he would do play-by-play for a lot of sporting events. He goes, I'm going to be on ESPN someday. I'm going to be on ESPN someday. And my brother-in-law said, you have an easier chance of winning the lottery, the $1 million lottery. Well, my son is a producer at ESPN. He produces hockey and he produces baseball. When you watch SportsCenter, he does the highlights, and he's won 2 Emmy Awards. So, it's you really.
Yeah, it's really amazing, and it's really just what you put your mind to and what you want to do in life.
And he's just starting to be able to get me free tickets, which is really
which
cool.
is good. That works.
But the thing is, it's like you had said, you put your mind to it. He always wanted to do it. Put your mind to it, and you'll do it. It may not be the direct route that you choose.
Yeah.
But if you put your mind to it, and you really want to do it, you will do it.
And honestly, at the age of 5, I decided I was going into advertising and moving to California, both of which I have done in my life. And I've actually lived in California twice. So it's just what you put your mind to. My wife was like, could you have told me that you had this goal to go to California when you were 5? I'm like, well, anyway, but it's really, and I think beyond grief, I think it's always good to have a mentor. I have a mentor in life, and I can literally pick up the phone right now, call him, and we can have a conversation like we just talked yesterday. I don't talk to him that often right now, but when I do, it's quality conversations. It's always good to have someone to bounce ideas off of. In my case, it's business ideas and marketing, advertising ideas. So it just depends on how that mentor plays a role in your life, whether that's for what you are doing with grieving or whether it's for, personal or business or higher aspirations in life.
And I'm going to throw this out there too, because as you speak of mentoring, I mentor 4 kids that are now in dental school. And, they call me when they're going things. So this is out to all of you. If you know anyone or anyone if any of you or know anyone that wants to go into dentistry, you have questions, you can get in touch with me, because there isn't much that gives me more pleasure than making that path easier for someone, because it's not an easy path. Anything you choose, but it's not an easy path. So I'm going to throw out that to you as well. Feel free to let me know.
If you ever want to take a ride on the Molar Express.
I'm going to take a ride on the Molar Express.
He can help you with that too.
But that's,
So we're going to wrap it up. We're going to ask you one other thing, like any other things you want to share with the audience today?
Okay, so about grief and Imagine, we talk about how like grief, it changes like seasons, and obviously because like the grief can like, change many times. So we always like say that like, oh, you don't have to grieve like based on like how society wants you to grieve. Like you can take your time with grieving as long as you want to.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, because from like
there's no set time on it.
Because for my mom, like she had a friend like who passed away like I think like this month, and her mother, the friend's mother died, and she was really, really close to the mother, so like it took a toll on her, the mother's death. So I think it was like a few days after, and my mom like was trying to call her friend. Her sister picked up the call and said like, oh, her friend died too. So it was like, I was kind of like, she was like, oh, like how did that happen? And she said, oh, that her friend like died from a heart attack.
Oh, wow.
And I think it was because my mom said like she had a lot of like high blood pressure, and
sure.
The death of her mother definitely like took a toll on her, and like she definitely like lost herself like taking care of her mother, because like she's been taking care of her mother since she was like a child.
Oh, wow.
So
it's important that we take care of ourselves.
Yeah, so like that, going into saying that, like my mom was saying a lot too, like definitely take care of yourself like when coping, because you might not think it's self-harm, but like you're also like harming yourself in the process. And I feel like a lot of people need to know that do some hobbies that you like to do. Surround yourself around the right people that can be there and support you through like your tough times, and not the ones that like will turn their back against you just because like they don't know how to comfort you or anything.
And that's great. It's great insight, great advice to the audience.
And one thing is food for thought for all of you is, as your parents get older and as you get older, don't ever forget how they took care of you when they need you. Don't ever forget that.
Yep. And Paulie has spoken. Anyway, you've been a wonderful guest. And with that, we'd like to give you a Random Ass Podcast candle.
Thank you.
And it's Lucky Clover. So thank you very much for being on the show. You were awesome.
Yes, thank you so much.
Wow, what a great conversation.
Yeah,
Great conversation.
Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you. It was amazing insight we learned from all the conversations today. So we'd like to thank Dr. Reagan and Union Catholic High School for hosting us today. Very much appreciated. We'd like to thank Dr. Jennifer Dixon from Union Catholic, Lindsay Schambach from Imagine, and the student, and what is your name again? Mmesoma.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mmesoma, for all that great insight that you gave out there to the randomies. And obviously, Union Catholic is putting out some quality students here. And thank you all for participating in our audience today as well. So thank you guys. And to our fantastic Random S team, where this doesn't happen without them. Producer Ange Mooney, production and editing Bridget Hanlon, and executive producer Seamus Mooney. And please catch us and follow us on Spotify. So when you go out on Spotify, you're looking for the Random S Podcast, And then when you find it, just hit the word follow, and we're all good. So if you guys want to go check this out, and you do have to sign up for Spotify in order to listen to the full episode, and it's free. There's no charge on Spotify to be a randommy like us. And for Paul and I, where we say, hey, randommies, always stay
Random-esque.
It was very random meeting you, and now you're a part of our lives, the Random family. Thank you. Thank you, Union Catholic. Much appreciated. Great show. Thank you. Very important.
Have a topic you would like the Randomesque podcast to discuss randomly? Please email us at randomesque@gmail.com. That's RANDUMBESQUE@gmail.com. This has been the Randomesque podcast, produced by Moonrock LLC. And remember, always stay Randomesque.